How do you speak? Do you choose your words or do you just shoot them out into the air? It's nice to hear some people talk. We would want to go on listening to them. How do they do it? What do? They create word pictures. To be able to describe something so beautifully that you can see it, imagine it, and see it coming out alive right in front of you. Well, that is some conversation. To be able to converse with such perfection, you must be able to choose each word to convey exactly what it intends to convey. And that can be done when you have what is called the irreplaceable word. The right word, the word which cannot be substituted to get that particular meaning. Chapter 35, the irreplaceable word. So here we're going to learn a few words. A few words that are usually out of our vocabulary, but if they come in, if they are added into your vocabulary, I'm sure we will be able to convey our thoughts and our ideas much more clearly than we do right now. So let's start off. Let me ask you, how do you think a bear, you have seen bears, not face to face, not directly, but of course in the zoo, in your Discovery Channel, in the other channels on television, in movies, you've seen bears. How do bears walk? Do they walk like us? Steady on 2 feet, keeping an even pace? Do they walk like that? No. I'm sure a bear walking is a sight that you would be scared of, or you would move away to give space or run away from there. So what is the kind of walk that a bear does? It is a walk that is slow, heavy, and awkward. It is something that we do not wait to watch. So the bear walk, as you call it, if there is something called a bear walk, is what you could call lumbering. Look at the word, lumbering. Lumber. To lumber is to walk like a bear. It's slow, heavy, and awkward. Now, look at an elephant. You think of an elephant. An elephant that is Urotiana, that is running through the forest. It must be irritated. It must be angry. There must be some kind of confusion in its mind, and it rushes through the forest in a violent gesture, making a lot of noise, creating a lot of commotion and confusion, tearing the trees and the leaves apart, coming in through the forest in a violent action. This kind of entry or exit or a travel of an elephant in a state of confusion or commotion is what you could call crashing. Crashing. Now, even people can crash. Sometimes you say, I'm going to crash into bed. After you have a very tired day, you just rush to your room and lie down on your stomach right there, as if you are a log that has been cut, and fall on your stomach and just lie there without any movement in a violent action. That also could be called crashing. So 2 words, lumbering and crashing. Actually, if one is very slow, the other is in an opposite way, it is violent with a lot of noise. Now comes again another. Imagine a cow walking through our own local streets. Through our villages, we've seen cows at close quarters. You do not rush away from a cow. You stay there. You might watch, because now cows in cities are very hard to find. So you move aside, and if you observe a cow walking, how does it walk? It walks very slowly, as if it owns the place. It just walks slowly, calmly, moving forward without any care in the world. If we want to move away, we can. If not, well, that's at your own risk. So this kind of a walk of a cow, not only of a cow, this kind of any person can walk like that. If you walk without any care in the world, as if you're so totally at peace with yourself, then you might be said to amble. So I would write it in its gerund form, adding the ing, and call it ambling. Got the word? It's called ambling. So we have lumbering, crashing, and ambling. Now, have you heard the tortoise and the hare story? There was a tortoise, there was a hare. We've heard of the rabbit, I guess. So in some stories it's called the rabbit, while in others it's called the hare. Hare is H-A-R-E. So we have heard the story so many times. The hare is very proud of its speed. It's very confident, and it feels that, well, the tortoise is nowhere near it. I can defeat you. Let's keep a bet. Let's have a wager, is what he says. We'll have a wager, a bet. A bet or a wager are synonymous terms. I'm going to outrun you in a race, says the hare. We're going to walk together. We're going to run together because it's a race. Well, you can have a walking race too. But we're going to run together, and let's see who wins the race. And actually, you don't need to be worried. You don't need to even try, because you see, I'm going to win. Now, this is the way the hare lays a wager, and the poor tortoise actually wasn't very interested. But then it thought, okay, why not? Let me give it a try. So the hare and the tortoise start off from the starting point, because that's where you start off at a race. There was no gunshot. I'm not sure what exactly set them off. They started running. In fact, the hare started running. What did the tortoise do? The tortoise, we know, the tortoise cannot run like the hare. Then what can the tortoise do? The tortoise kept a certain even pace and was kind of walking, was kind of rolling, was kind of moving, was kind of trundling. This is our word, trundling or to trundle. Trundle is to have a kind of motion that is a kind of, that's a rolling motion, where you do not walk properly, you do not run, you keep up a pace or a motion somewhere in between the two, where you look as if you are rolling. So it's a kind of a trundle, this kind of a movement, maybe some kind, the way a ship rocks, like you rock inside a ship, or the way a boat rocks when you are inside the boat. At one point you feel the boat is going to overturn. So that is trundling. You can imagine the tortoise trundling towards the finishing point. And then comes the hare. Then you know in the story how the hare passes the tortoise by many times. The hare moves right in front. He looks back, finds the tortoise far, far away. And what does he do? He feels, well, I should take a break. I can sleep. What is this lazy person doing there, lazy thing doing there, far, far behind? Well, I'm going to finish the race, reach the finishing point and get the prize. So I don't need to worry. The hare runs in a particular way. It's not the kind of people, the way humans run. The rabbit or the hare runs with quick, short steps. Quick, short steps are called scampering. Running with quick, short steps would be called scampering. Now, there are certain words which are synonymous with scampering. You have words like, I'll write that in a different color for you. Words like scurry, scuttle. Look at these words. Scurry, S-C-U-R-R-Y, an S added to the curry. And scuttle, S-C-U-T-T-L-E, are words that are synonymous with scampering. You can just imagine going into a room where you have a cat trying to eat something on the table or something in the kitchen. And you can imagine the way the cat behaves the moment you come there. The cat immediately turns, tries to rush out, its feet slip on the floor, and it tries to, almost it's about to fall, but it goes forward, looks out for an opening and rushes out. That is the kind of motion that scampering, scurry, and scuttle would be. So I hope you are aware of, or you can imagine the kind of movement that scampering, scurry, and scuttle are. The kind of quick movement in a fear of someone coming and catching hold of them. Now the hare or the rabbit also runs like that. So that is a kind of motion that is opposite to the trundling motion of the tortoise. So we can scurry, rats can scurry. We scurry when what happens? When the college principal comes on his daily rounds and you have students in certain corners of the place or outside their class during class hours, what do? They kind of scurry and scuttle and scamper away, hiding into places where the principal can't reach. So those are our three words that come together. Now we have a different picture. I'll take you to a place maybe outside the bar outside a liquor house, outside the Bevco. No, I don't think we see people outside the Bevco drunk. No, well, you go to people who you sometimes meet them on the road at nights around lampposts, walking around or sitting and standing in the middle of the road and talking to no one in particular. You have people who are, the moment you see them, you know that they are drunk. You know that you shouldn't go very near them. And such people, what is the kind of motion? Do you think they can walk straight like us? Well, we walk with a balanced posture. We walk straight. We have a certain balance. Our head is on our shoulders, our arms at our sides, and we just walk. No one needs to support us. But these people, definitely, the moment you see them, you realize that there's something wrong. And immediately you pinpoint it to the drinking. So the way a drunkard walks is unsteady. He wouldn't be able to keep his balance. He would be moving again in a rocking motion, but not evenly. The movements are not coordinated. So when the movements are not coordinated, when the balance is not proper or correct, then you say that the person is staggering. The person staggers, or the person is staggering. Now there are certain words that are again used synonymously with the word staggering. You can have the word reeling. There is another word, tittering. Now to titter and to reel and to stagger are certain positions where the person is not in balance with himself. The man goes against the laws of gravity, and they cannot hold themselves erect. They have to move in very awkward motions. So those are three words that can be used almost synonymously with each other. So staggering, reeling, and tittering. Now, there is another turn to it. You have another kind of word where you actually are walking properly, maintaining your balance, but you see something, or rather you fall suddenly because you have accidentally stepped on something, or something has hit you, or something has come in your way suddenly. Someone has thrown something at you and you fall over that. And that is what could be called stumbling. Stumbling, or to stumble. To stumble would be to fall over something that is thrown in front of you. It's an accidental motion, and that is called stumbling. Now there are certain other positions where, suppose you were to fall into water. It could be the river, could be the pond, the sea, wherever. And you forget your senses, you forget that you can swim, or maybe the current of the water is too much for you to keep your balance or your equilibrium. And again, you wave your hands about. You cannot control yourself. You cannot stay above the water. You feel you're sinking in. Your hands come out, they flail, your hands flail. And You come out of the water, you plunge into the water cannot keep up the balance, or rather you cannot keep a balance with the water. And that is when you say you're floundering. So this is our next word, which is called flounder. To flounder is to lose your sense of equilibrium and to not be able to maintain your balance in the water. Now, even people can flounder outside the water. See, when there is a moment of crisis, when you do not know what to do, when your mind is confused, when you cannot take a strong decision, you are swaying between this or that, to be or not to be. That is another state of floundering. Where the mind or the person flounders is when he or she is in a state of confusion. So that is again floundering. Now we come to yet another phase of a person's state of being. Have you seen cocks walking? The cock, Puvangori, have you seen it walking? What is the way in which it walks? With its head held high, the crown on top, the red crown moving about, the neck raised, moving to the left and the right, and clucking. It makes a particular kind of sound. It's called cock-a-doodle-doo. So you have the cock crowing out and walking as if it owns the place. Well, that kind of a walk, the proud walk of a cock, is the kind of example that I can bring you to, is called strutting. So you have the strut of a cock, the kind of walk that is very proud. And there are certain words that are synonymous again with strutting. One of the words would be swagger. Swagger is a word that is synonymous with the word strutting. So we have two words here, strutting and swagger. Now, I take you, bring you back to the college that you are hoping to come to soon. Within months, we'll find you here. And at that point of time, I'm sure there will be moments when you would want to explore the campus, walk about, run about here, see those areas that are very, very, strange and new to you. And at that point of time, you would find the principal coming in at, unexpected moments. I was talking about how you scurry, scuttle, scamper away when something approaches you, when the sense of danger approaches you. There is one motion when you can scamper, scurry, or scuttle. There is another motion when you hide. You hide and you move away. The principal might be in the corridors. He might be walking out. You might be hiding behind the different pillars of CMS College campus. It would be lovely to find you here. So when you hide behind the pillars and you move away in a motion that will avoid, where you try to avoid the principal's presence in front of you. That is when you sidle. That motion would be called sidling or sidle. To sidle is to move to the side, as the word says, move to the side in a hope to slip away from being seen. That is sidling. You are not making a noise. You are very silent. You want to escape being seen. You want not to be observed. That is called sidling or to sidle. To sidle or sidling. We also have certain synonyms for sidling. Now, one word would be, they are very close synonyms. You wouldn't call it an exact synonym, it would be a close synonym. Prowl, well, a nearer synonym would be skulk. This is closer in meaning to sidle, but in fact both of them, the prowl and skulk, have different meanings. They're not exactly the same meaning, though both of them, or rather all three of them, are done in silence, and they are done in secret. They are secretive motions. Secretive motions. For example, prowl. Immediately you're reminded of a carnivorous animal, a carnivore that comes out at night to grab and eat someone. Now, what is the way a carnivore moves is very typical. It seeks the night, the darkness of the night. It moves very slowly, very silently, and it comes as if it is unobserved. You do not see it. You do not feel it. It waits in the shadows, and the waiting is called lurking. There is a word that can be used here. Waiting in the shadows. Waiting in the shadows to do what? To pounce on the prey, finally. Now that motion, to wait in the shadows, is called lurking. And this action of moving silently without disturbing anything, moving in such a way that you wait and then pounce on the person, that kind of movement, the slow, silent, dangerous movement, is called a prowl. A prowl is, again, can be used for human beings. What does the thief do? The thief who tries to break into your house post midnight. What is the way in which a thief moves? A thief won't make a big noise and say, well, I'm here. The thief won't knock at your door and say, open the door, I want to steal your stuff. No, the thief will be silent, will be very, very secretive. The thief is dangerous, so you know what will happen if a person comes prowling. You know what will happen if an animal, a wild animal, comes prowling. So that is prowl. Lurking is hiding behind the shadows. Prowling is walking silently, dangerously, because only someone who is negative, only someone who is dangerous will prowl. The others will just walk without any care in the world because they don't have anything to hide. And a skulk, what do you mean by skulk? Skulk is again a secretive motion. A secretive motion where you walk knowing that someone is likely to jump out and catch you, or to hold you, or to capture you. So that is a skulking motion. So you have prowl, lurking, skulk. Then again, there is a word like slink. Now I'll add that with skulk. Slink. Now slink is again moving away so that you are not observed. You are not observed, you move away because you want to hide. You do not want to come into public notice. You do not want people to notice you because you're guilty of something. The one who prowls, the one who skulks, the one who slinks, the one who lurks are all people, and there is another word too, the one who sneaks. Sneaking is again a little different. When you sneak, you are present there. When you skulk and you slink and you lurk, you do not want to be present there. Lurking, of course, you will be there, but sneaking is when you want to listen or you want to understand or catch what someone is saying. There might be some kind of a secret that you do not know about. There might be some kind of conversation that is happening which you do not know about, which you are sure that maybe someone is talking about you. Maybe you want to inquire into what they are talking about. And so what do? You sneak in. You sneak in is hiding into a room or into a place where you can hide. You come into the place, you are there in the place, but you are hidden. You do not want other people to see you. So there is a slight change of meaning, shades of meaning between these words. Remember prowling, the carnivorous animal ready to attack, lurking in the shadows. But it comes out at a moment to pounce. Skulking, sidling, slinking, sneaking. Sneaking is where the person is there, hiding, waiting to listen to what is happening. Skulking and slinking and sidling is a motion where the person is silent, likes to remain unobserved, is hidden and wants to go away. Not like lurking and sneaking, where the animal or the person is there. But in skulking, slinking and sidling, the person wants to leave unobserved. You understand? I hope you understand the shades of meaning, the slight differences in meaning between the words. Now, we have a few more words. So now we have another scene of action is changing. We have a fight in the house. Maybe in your house. I'm sure there are fights occasionally. A fight in the house between your brother, your sister, and you. And you get angry, or your brother or sister gets angry, or you have a fight with your mother. You do not agree to something that she says, and you, in your natural show of your reaction to what she says or to what your brother or sister says, you move away in anger. And then what happens? Well, you stamp your feet, you make a big show. You want to show everyone that you are angry. You move about violently, you stamp on the floor, you try to make loud noises, and the way you walk is you are stamping your feet on the floor with more force than is usually done. Usually, you're very silent. You walk very slowly without hurting the floor. But when you're angry, the floor gets all your anger and you step very hard on the floor. And that motion of walking with heavy steps in order to show some kind of emotion, express some kind of emotion, is called stomping. So to stomp or stomping would be a kind of emotion or would be a kind of motion where you step hard on the floor, making loud noises and to express some kind of anger or reaction to what someone has said. And mostly it is a negative reaction. Or almost always it is a negative reaction. So stomping. And that is when your final act there would be to go into your room and bang the door shut. right? So that is stomping. We also have two words that are again synonymous with each other. I'll write the words for you. One is trudge and the other is plod. You must have observed the pilgrims going to Sabrimala, the pilgrims going to Malayattur. Now, what is the way in which they walk? Of course, in the beginning, all of them are very enthusiastic. Of course, they are enthusiastic throughout because they're praying, they're chanting songs, or they're chanting a kind of mantra. They want to keep up their spirits. They want to keep up the feeling of the emotion within them, their reverence. So they are chanting mantras throughout, songs they continuously sing. But after a few steps, when they ascend the mountain or ascend the steps of the Sabrimala or the mountain that is there in Malayattur, the steps are slow. The steps are evenly paced. There is a slow, even pace. Pace meaning speed. So it is a slow pace. But the steps are even, mostly harmonious. You walk with, if you time the steps, you will find that the timing is almost more or less equal to each other. So the timing will not be very different. There is no upsetting of the rhythm. The pace is even. They are tired, yet they keep up their spirits. How does a farmer, you must have observed farmers, or even you, after a heavy day of work, when you come back home, you are walking back, there is a space or there is some distance between your bus stop and your house, and you walk and you walk and you walk, but you do not seem to reach because you're so tired. That's only when you study hard in school, in college, okay? After having a happy day in college, without getting into classes, I'm sure you would not plod. You would not be tired. But if you're really a hardworking person, if you worked hard that day, you will be tired. And when you're tired, you cannot run. You cannot walk quickly with very, very, sure, energetic steps. No, you're just waiting for your cup of coffee and you walk and you do not reach. That's the same way. People walk and climb, but yet they do not seem to reach the top of the mountain where they can see their deity. That movement is called trudging or plodding. So to trudge and to plod is to walk in an evenly paced manner where your steps are balanced but they are slow because you might be tired, you might be thinking of something, but mostly because you're tired. So I hope these two words are clear too. And then we have the last word of the day, which is the word or the kind of person that you might see all around the place. Not many of them, but all around the place you will see certain people who seem to walk about, who seem to be everywhere. They have no rules, they have no specific place to go, they have no one specific to go home to. They might not have a home, or their home is not anywhere near. All you see, yet you find them in different places. They seem to be around, but yet to seem to come from nowhere and go nowhere. So these kind of people, which in Malayalam would be familiar to you are called Nadodis or gypsies or tramps. So a tramp cannot be disciplined either in dress or in behavior. He seems, or usually he, she, or they come as a group too. They seem to be everywhere, yet do not belong to any place. So they are tramps. You tramp across the land, or you tramp across anywhere, and you are called tramp. Someone who tramps across places is called a tramp. So these are our words. I hope you have made some idea about them. We'll just go quickly over the words. Lumbering, crashing. Lumbering is that slow, heavy walk. Crashing is that violent, noisy walk, or the rush. It's a rushing kind of a walk. Ambling is the cow ambling. Remember how the cow ambles slowly, surely. We come to trundling, the tortoise, scampering, the hare, scurry, scuttle, again the kind of rush that a rat or a cat or a hare does when it is scared. It just rushes about with its feet on either side. It slips on the floor. That is the kind of movement, scampering, scurry and scuttle. We have staggering, remember the drunkard, reeling and teetering. Again, the drunkard or anyone who loses balance and moves awkwardly. Stumbling, floundering. Stumbling might be on, usually is on the earth when you fall over something. Floundering is usually related to the water. When you cannot swim and you move about for something to hold on to. Strutting is, remember the cock, the proud cock, the long, tall walk of the cock. Swagger, again, a proud walk. Then comes the negative, the hiding part of it, the sidling, the prowl, lurking. Remember, sneak, skulk, and slink. Nice, they sound sir, sir, sir. That is called alliteration, when you have consonant sounds repeated one after another. Also, they are onomatopic words. You're going to learn all that later. I'm sure you must have heard of it. Sneaking, skulking, and slinking immediately bring, in fact, all these words that we have just read give you an idea about, the word gives you an idea about the sense. The sound brings in the sense of most of these words. That's because of association, and such a kind of word or such kind of words are called onomatopic words, which literally means sound echoing the sense. So we have these words skulk, slink, and sneak to try to explain something or to show something which is hidden and secretive. Lurking is to wait in the shadows, to pounce. Prowl is the walk, the dangerous walk of the carnivore or the predator or the thief or the dangerous person. That, and then we come to stomping, anger. Remember your fight with your siblings or your parents. Trudging and plodding, they are synonymous. Remember the climb to Sabrimala or the climb to Malayatur, and then the tramp who is all over the place. So I hope these words remain with you, these irreplaceable words. Remember to use such words whenever you feel the place deserves. You know, when you're speaking, when you're writing, remember to include the exact word, the irreplaceable word in your writing and speaking. So this is to go on to better English. Thank you.